What's up, metalheads and movie buffs? We are here with another spectacular edition of Real Metal. Ooh, confetti. I'm Ridden.
Necrotic Nick.
Shredlord.
And we are bringing you a hell of a film soundtrack. It's a movie starring the Academy Award winning, Tony Award winning, I think he won the Heisman once,
Cable Ace.
actor, producer, man,
Philanthropist.
Blonde person.
Dee Snider. Strangeland.
So this soundtrack came out sometime in 1998 before the film was released, which the film was released on October 2nd, 1998. This came out on TVT Records /soundtracks with an X at the end because this was the 90s and we misspelled things on purpose.
Yeah.
And, well, all right, this was sort of just an ambitious project from Dee Snider. He actually wrote this movie, and this was a underground horror slasher thing. And honestly, it's more well known for the soundtrack. If you've seen the movie,
It's
It doesn't hold up as well
Nope.
as you would think.
It's not bad.
it is.
Is it not?
Why did he get all these
It's a little
awards?
campy.
There was-
It's unintentionally campy, I think.
I don't know. I mean, I
He
think
got real tattoos for that movie.
and real piercings.
I think he was
possibly.
going to get the tattoos anyway.
Like his whole half a body.
Came out in 1998. Nu metal was definitely pretty much almost at its peak right there. And this became like one of the quintessential nu metal soundtracks. Now, granted, it isn't all nu metal. There's industrial metal, there's flat out rock, and a little bit of groove metal and some other weird stuff on here.
80s montage music.
Yeah, even a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, honestly, I was a pretty big fan of this when it came out. Granted, this was, peak of nu metal height for me. Jinkos, blonde spiky hair, labret piercing, all those things
Jinkos.
were me.
I never owned a pair of Jinkos,
Well, baby, you're missing out.
No, you're not.
but I had big pants, just not Jinko brand pants.
Jinkos, you could step in a puddle and you would be wet all the way up to your balls, courtesy of those
Yeah.
giant pant legs.
You step in the puddle and the puddle's gone because your pants absorbed it.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
I had
It looked
spiky blonde hair.
cool for 6 months. Maybe a year.
I don't know. Dude, look back at some of those pictures of anyone in them, like, dude, were they cool?
God, forgive us. Forgive us all.
They were our bell bottoms.
Yep. So this soundtrack is an interesting mix of like demos, songs that were made for the soundtrack, and like B-sides from other albums. And this is 18 tracks of songs here. So we decided we kind of wanted to sort of bunch these up into songs we liked universally, songs we were divided on, and songs that were just no. We ran into a fair amount of each on here, but this was overall a fun one to go through. And it's interesting that this starts and stops with Dee Snider
Well,
in different forms.
it's his party if you don't like it.
You can get stabbed and strung up like everyone in the movie.
Yeah.
So since we brought up the opening track, we're going to bring up some that we were divided on. The opening track, Dee Snider in Conclusion, is pretty much Dee trying to do a Tool song?
Yeah.
Duel. It's duel.
Duel.
Duel Snideralis.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah.
Strangely
Actually,
enough.
strangely enough.
Yeah.
It's an interesting
Strangelandly
song.
enough.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
That was way more
Yeah.
clever.
It's an interesting song. I mean, it's definitely dated. The fact that, an old hair metal guy is trying to do a nu metal song.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, chorus, I think is pretty good.
It's a hooky chorus. Yeah.
But it has, like, all the muted, like, Tool production. Like, ooh, let's sound creepy. Sounds like he's talking through a transistor radio. And
His voice still sounds out of place.
it does.
His
it
voice
does.
still sounds out of place.
It sounds like a hair metal guy trying to do a Tool song. Which is exactly what it is.
Another one where we kind of came divided on is Megadeth's A Secret Place. And I don't think this is as terrible of a song as perhaps the two to my left. I will say that the chorus is not very strong, and I will say that this song is simple in its structure and definitely something we've heard Dave Mustaine do before, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. It is a middle-of-the-road type Megadeth song, but anytime Megadeth is on an album, minus the tracks of Risk, I'm going to really dig it, and I do.
This is pre-Risk. I mean, this was on Cryptic Writings, and I skip it on Cryptic Writings. I skip it on here. It's just kind of a, I don't know, like introspective, like, oh, I'm trying to be nice this time. I'm talking about my feelings, bitch. I don't know. I just don't get it. Plus, the chorus riff sounds almost like the main riff on Trust, and granted, it came off of Cryptic Writings, and there was an experimental period, I guess. You know, they were working with some different sound there, but yeah, not this song. This was just kind of a castaway for me.
Yeah, it's not the worst Megadeth song, but
yeah. Almost any other Megadeth song would have been good, minus anything off of Risk. But I mean, this was the album that was out. This was the album they were promoting. Soundtracks, promotional things. Sometimes you gotta throw out a turd.
And Captain Howdy had a secret place, though. I think that was a little clever. You know, did anyone think of that? Perhaps the song title is clever because of the movie?
maybe.
No.
Secrets. A track that I liked was the Manson track, Sweet Tooth, which comes from Portrait of American Family, the first and, in my mind, best Manson album. This is when Manson still had eyebrows, not weird boobies. I'm spooky with my boobs.
I mean, I think later in 1998 he would have.
Yeah, he would have boobs later.
Boobs.
But this is actually, from the first album, which came out in 94.
Yep.
Yeah.
94.
So this is early Manson and not, again, eyebrows, wasn't wearing that much makeup. It's got a heavy riff. He mostly yells in the song and doesn't do the creepy, weird thing. Yeah, a little bit.
I thought this was kind of an interesting selection on here just because it came out on his first album. I mean, this wasn't even, when he had something out. At this point, it was, 98 was still, Antichrist?
Yeah.
You kind of figured they'd support something from that.
Right.
But I don't know, maybe this was just easier to get the rights to.
Maybe.
I don't know. Another one we were divided on was the Anthrax song P and V, which I don't even know why they didn't bother saying piss and vinegar on there, because that's the title.
Which is very tasty on French fries.
Minus the piss.
Minus the piss.
Oh, I'm going to complain to the manager about that.
But honestly, this was probably the best promotion that Anthrax got for Volume 8, because when that came out, the label had already folded. So any chance to promote this album to essentially make back some money from all the time they spent working on it was probably good. But yeah, this was just kind of a cast-off song in there. I mean, it's a stompy rocker. There's fucking cowbell.
Charlie's got a fever.
And he cowbelled the hell out of this one. I like John Bush. John Bush and everything sounds good. But I mean, it's just kind of a dumb rocker, but I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah, Anthrax is capable of so much more.
Yes.
As a proud, non-convicted felon, I must tell you that my favorite song on this is Pantera's Where You Come From. And I will tell you this. I don't know where they did come from, but what they brought with them, from whence they came, it was heavy.
Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Louisiana.
Yes.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And for obvious bias reasons, I love this song, love this band. This is my favorite track on here.
Actually, I loved this song before the soundtrack came out. This was a extra track that was on 101 Proof, official live album from 97. And it's just a groovy banger with great crawling riffs. I mean, it's almost more of like a Pantera song, but kind of a down song too, because it has like this swagger to it that I love.
Mm-hmm. The song is great, but the lyrics are a little dark. I believe it's about Phil's little incident from a hometown show where he took a nap, we'll say.
It's 3 minutes of time that kind of just gets a little
poof
gone.
Yeah.
But heroin will do that to you.
Don't do heroin.
No.
The one we all definitely agree we also liked was the song Breathe by Seven Dust, which honestly I didn't realize the connection that they actually had to Dee Snider, or at least Twisted Sister. JJ French and Mark Mendoza actually did the production on their first album, their self-titled album. And this was a extra track that was done during these sessions and actually came out later on their like extended edition or whatever. But yeah, this is a really solid track, just riff driven as hell. Too many effects on LeJean.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not a big Seven Dust person, but I did think it was weird to hear a bunch of vocal effects on him. He's got a good voice anyway.
Yeah, you don't need to cover up his voice.
I mean, the first line is about him being underwater, and then he sounds like he's underwater throughout the entire song, like he sang this instead of a giant fish tank.
But it was the 90s, and they
Yeah.
like vocal effects on stuff. So
They experimented.
yeah,
But the song's good.
took a risk.
It sounds a little incomplete, like there could have been a lot more to it, but I like what's there. It's just a good, straightforward, heavy banger of a song.
Yeah. And as much as I love the Pantera song, it's kind of tied with my favorite song, I guess. Absent by Snot. Snot would have been a great band.
Yeah. I mean, they were.
They were a great band, but they would have been perhaps maybe in the Hall of Fame of great bands. We'll never know. But this song is killer. Lynn Straight, just with his delivery, is ridiculous. Funky drums, heavy choruses, the bridge. God darn.
Dude, he's just barking hostility and then crooning in between there. The vocal flip's awesome. I like this version of the song too because this is like the more raw demo because this was going to be on their follow-up album and that didn't happen.
Nope.
But they did re-release it later on the Straight Up compilation and polished it up. This one, I don't know, it just feels more raw and more angry. Like there's like weird phased in and out screams in there.
Yeah.
And it just sounds dirty.
Yeah.
And I think that's how it should be listened to because this is just a nasty song because he is just spitting all sorts of contempt at a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
And it really comes across as like just honest. It's just very straightforward and I just dig it. The drum work is fantastic too.
Yeah, banger of a song. Yeah.
What could have been.
But that's not where the banger train ends.
No.
It keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. And one of them is a very pissed off Brazilian man named Max Cavalera with then brand new band Soulfly. Of course, I'm talking about Eye for an Eye. Excellent song to have on here.
Yep.
It is riff-tastic. It is heavy as balls. It's a classic Soulfly song.
Yeah. But at the time, it was a brand new Soulfly song.
Yeah, I think Soulfly's debut album come out like in July. This came out in September, October. So yeah, it was still pretty new, but the fact that people knew Max and he was just continuing on just pummeling people with riffs. I love this song to this day. This is how that album opened and it came out swinging. And the song's fun to listen to regardless if it's on the album or the soundtrack. Most of the time it's going to be on the album for me. But yeah, killer song. And then there's some oddities on here that are strange. Bile. Bile, this was my first experience with Bile. Not the gross fluid, but the band.
Oh, Lord, I've had experiences.
Now, the first time I ever heard this song in League, I believe I was on acid. And someone put it on at a party. I think it was some creepy goth chick. And literally freaked me out because I thought Satan was speaking to me through the speakers. It's pretty close. It's a dumb song.
The lyrics are dumb as hell.
Dumb.
See.
But it's pretty heavy and pretty raw.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of industrial metal that I prefer.
Yeah.
Because this is not like new metal at all. This is straight up industrial metal. It's a drum machine. It's heavy. The guitar tone is just disgustingly
Beefy.
chunky.
Yeah.
And I mean, the vocal filters are pretty interesting. Of course, what they're saying is just, it's dumb.
He's saying the dumb things cool.
Yeah. I mean, the deliveries,
They are dumb things he is saying. It's kind of like Psalm 69 minus the heroin, the cocaine, the acid, the whiskey, and the pills.
Actually, I'm pretty sure all those were present in the studio with Bile.
Just not as much.
Not as much, probably.
Because Ministry had a little bit of cash to throw around.
A little bit of that Warner Brothers
Bile
cash.
probably just shared a couple of 8-balls and fit the something shitty.
Now, this one's interesting because this is the only band that actually appears in the movie. They're actually in a club scene all decked out in black light makeup and...
Latex.
Yeah.
Electrical tape. And
There's no drummer in there, too, because, again, it's a drum machine.
Yeah.
But, like, they have two singers. I want to say one of them, his name is a Bob Abuse or something like that. I can't remember if that's it, but Bob Abuse. I don't know if he abuses Bobs or his name is Bob and he abuses people, but there's
I think it's the
a
latter.
reason. It probably.
I like the name though.
Yeah, it's
pretty clever.
pretty nice.
Pretty
Yeah.
clever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very different song, and it kind of works with the industrial elements in here because you get some industrial stuff with coal chambers, not living, which yeah, this came out before chamber music ruined Coral Chamber's reputation, which they didn't have much of a reputation before. But I like that first album.
The first album, it's got a special place.
Yeah, it's glorious, dumb fun. And I think at this point the fun was kind of running out because we were discussing new metal tropes is repeating a verse until you hate it or until the audience is singing along one or the other. And this song does it.
It's easy to learn the words. There's only 6 of them.
Yeah, it's not living me or bleeding me or I don't know. It's something. I hated it. I wanted to turn it off. And this was a reason why I bought the soundtrack. It was that and the Snot song because those were unreleased songs.
Yeah.
And when I heard that song, I was like, well, at least I have the Snot song.
Yeah.
And then, lo and behold, Not Living shows up on chamber music. Chamber music is awful.
Not good.
And, yeah. But, I mean, it wasn't all that bad in terms of originals. System of a Down's Marmalade. That is a fun, weird track.
Great song.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like if Dead Kennedys fucked the B-52s. I would totally join in.
That song was actually a bonus track that was on the Japanese version of their self-titled debut, and it's just a weird song. Honestly, it's one of the weirdest vocal performances from Surge, and that's saying something.
Yeah. It's punky and new wave-ish and just,
Magical.
Surf rock.
It's kind of magical in a kind of weird,
Creepy murder mystery way.
Yeah.
But that's why it fits the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's true.
Surfing on peyote.
Yeah.
You know what didn't fit the soundtrack? Bob Rock's Fuck Off.
Kid
Kid Rock makes an appearance on here. Now,
Bob Ritchie.
for those of you that don't know, we live close to the home of Eminem and old Bob Rock, very close.
He's the next door neighbor.
Yeah.
Practically.
And so it is cool to see these somewhat local gentlemen on here. However, I was never really much of a Kid Rock fan ever to begin with, but this is even before he became the redneck uncle at the barbecue that refuses to take his dip out when he eats and drinks. Like,
He's got a cigarette hanging out of the other corner, too.
yeah. The coolest part was hearing a young Eminem rap a verse at the end. The Eminem verse wasn't as strong as obviously some of his later stuff as he grew as an artist, rapper, whatever, but still, that was maybe the coolest part of the song is to just hear, wow, babies, you know?
Right. And it's one of the better Kid Rock songs, I would say, because he swears a lot. I don't know. This song definitely would not be on the radio like Cowboy and any of the other horse shit that he's done in the past 20-something years. But for some reason, Devil Without a Cause has a weird place in my brain. Once every 5 years or so, I'll pull it out and listen to it. And I'm like, oh yeah. Okay.
Once every 5 years, you will ball with the ball, huh?
Yep, little bit.
Do you bang a dang, diggy diggy diggy?
Sometimes I go behind the garage and fire it up
Oh.
while I'm cutting the lawn.
Do you ever paint the town red and then paint my wife white?
Yeah.
Do you cause chaos?
Yep.
Do you rock like Amadeus?
I do.
Do you have West Coast pussy for your Detroit players?
I haven't really been that far west.
All right, moving on.
Okay.
I actually own Devil Without a Cause. There goes some metal cred. Just throw that away.
Oh, man.
And I don't like the song, even though it's like the heavier song on the album. It's pretty much 4 minutes of Kid Rock telling you to suck his dick, and then Eminem comes up and closes the show.
Yeah, dog, you can suck my dick too while you're at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had some funny lines, though.
There were a couple on there, but I mean, I can see why it's on here. Devil Without a Cause was...
Yeah.
Actually, at this point, it was still relatively small, and then it really just blew up later.
It probably wasn't even platinum yet, and it went like 11, 12, 13 times platinum, something ridiculous. They started sending it in the mail with Publishers Clearinghouse and stuff.
I think this was the point where, like, I'm the Bull God was the only song on the radio.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So he was still underground, if you can believe that, at a time that Kid Rock was underground.
But if you lived here in Toledo, the stinky T below the dirty D,
we knew.
He was unfucking avoidable.
We knew he was the bull god. Do you understand? evidently the illegitimate son of man, from the DOG to the GOD. Now I'm tripping.
But he wasn't the only off-putting thing on this soundtrack. We have the song by Day in the Life, Street Justice. Now, I actually own this band's album, and I guess what they tried to do was kind of do like post-grunge and nu metal and hardcore, and they kind of ruined all three, honestly.
Yeah.
How about no, Scott?
It sounds like if Taproot fucked 311, I would not participate in that orgy.
It's weird. Like, you can tell that there was like some sort of argument in the studio. Like, well, I want to sound like Pearl Jam. Like, well, I want to shout like Biohazard. Well, let's ruin both. And that's how you get this song.
And the singer is painfully flat.
Yes.
Yes.
The music's here. And
it hurts. It hurts.
And when I was looking up like credits on the song, what little I could actually find, because there's almost nothing about this band. They were like a blip and they were gone. I think the writing credit for this song was Dee Snider, which I don't know if he just kind of tossed him a song and they covered it.
He probably would have sang it better.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just kind of there, and I don't know, it really just, I don't know, it feels like it's just kind of shoehorned on there, because I don't know what demographic they were trying to appeal to, but they missed all of them.
I do also have a soft spot for the Head PE song Serpent Boy. They were a fun band for their first two records. Not a big fan of the later stuff.
I like the first two albums. Yeah. I do like the fact that this is an edit and they took out the long intro that's on the album, but they also bleeped out like a couple of swear words and like no.
Naughty. Can't see naughty in a horror movie.
But it's a fun song. It's honestly, it's kind of like, the more appealing rap metal for me, because like that first album had like punk elements and shit in it, and I dug that. And Jared, or MCUD, actually had this real frantic, weird delivery. And here we go. Shred, what do you think of the song?
I think it's maybe quite possibly one of the worst on this album. I can't stand NPE. I would rather sit my genitals on rusty tacks. I said it. I'm done. Sorry.
Fair enough.
Now, rounding out this damn near 20-track soundtrack album is a Twisted Sister song. My problem, let's get to the problem right away. Is this a bad song? No, not at all. Is it for this soundtrack? No,
if it
not
came
at
out
all.
10 years earlier?
Yeah.
This sounds like a montage to an obscure late 80s B-movie, and it really does not fit on here at all.
Not so much.
Yeah, it feels weird, and this is, I don't know, it's kind of strange because I guess Dee got back together with the guys from Twisted Sister and like, hey, let's write a song for this movie I'm doing. And they put out this song, and then years later they would reform and then re-record their most well-known album, Stay Hungry, and call it Still Hungry, and they shouldn't have. And yeah, this was on it as a bonus track. That's the only other place the song appears, because Heroes and this track are hard to find.
Yeah.
It's not a great song. It shouldn't have closed this soundtrack either. It's just, it feels weird. It feels like, was I watching the same movie?
But it probably would have been weirder if they put it in the middle of the soundtrack. I don't know. In between Pantera and Snot.
Well, they were probably worried they wouldn't have enough material with 20 songs.
That's true. This could have been a double album.
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of songs we didn't cover in here. Clay People had a cool song on here. Crisis, Nashville Pussy. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that, of course we acknowledge it's on there, but we wanted to get to the main ones that we either really agreed on or were divided on or just knew. But overall, this is a pretty fun soundtrack. And I mean, I think it's old enough now for there to be like some nostalgia for it. I was just graduating high school when this came out. So yeah, this was interesting. I mean, it definitely brings me back to poor fashion choices and questionable music choices too. But there's some good stuff on here. So overall, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. The songs that I like on here, whether they appear on another album or not, I really like. There are some really strong ones, and even like some of the more dated, super nu metal-y stuff, like, I mean, I still have a little bit of love for them. But yeah, some of the extra stuff on here that was so-so. Yeah, I could have done without it. This could have been a shorter soundtrack for sure, but it's better than the movie by a long shot. So definitely check this out.
I'm gonna go with a 3.5. I do enjoy the movie. It's hokey as hell, but it's fun. Soundtrack, you got Pantera, Soulfly, Snot. What the hell? That's up there. The stuff that's bad, just skip it. You still got at least an hour and a half worth of music here.
Easy.
Yeah.
It's about as long as the movie.
It's actually, it might be. Maybe this is, you play the soundtrack like Dark Side and Wizard of Oz, and they sync up somehow. Who knows? But if somebody out there does that, let us know if that's cool to do on the weed. But yeah, 3.5. Yeah.
I'll try it out. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I think this soundtrack was a little bit overinflated. I think it has some really big hits, but it also has a few really big misses. So I'm going to meet this thing in the middle. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. The songs that are strong on here are very, very, very strong. Like home run strong.
Yeah.
But there definitely is a problem with too much material that doesn't necessarily need to be on here, and some of that material is either not particularly strong or doesn't sound like it should be on this soundtrack. But the songs that are solid are very solid. 3 out of 5, definitely worth a listen, and probably most likely, yes, holds up better than the movie does to this day.
It does.
So, if you like what you saw here, please hit the like and subscribe button. If you are not subscribed to our channel, that will allow you to be notified when we release new awesome videos, which we do pretty much on the daily. Also, if you would like to support me and my shithead metalhead cohorts by joining us on Patreon, we would greatly appreciate that as well, and the link is down below. Also, if you guys do not know, we have new Thralls of Metal threads, which we would like to cover you in all over your body. If you would like a shirt and do not have one, or if you would like another shirt, please email thrallsofmetal@gmail.com and leave a big caption sizes in the header, and we will get you an invoice and get one out to you. So, on behalf of Rinford, Necrotic, and myself, stay metal, stay hungry, Dee Snider quote, and we will catch you later.